Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
All right, hello everybody. Holding It Down is back again. A little bit different this time. We're gonna have a nice little top 5 segment. Holding It Down, bringing it to you every week. This week's top 5 segment: top 5 wrestlers of all time. We're gonna count them down from 5, going back to 1. I'm sure between the two of us, we're gonna have some differences among our lists here, but that's the point of the discussion. So, now I will kick it off at my number 5 of all time. I have CM Punk at number 5. He's got incredible mic skills.
Mm-hmm.
His wrestling prowess has been well documented. It's just his passion that he brings to the ring. Like I said, his overall ring skill. Whether he's been one of those guys that's been able to be just as good. And my top 5 pretty much as one big qualification is that he's been just as good a heel as he is a face. Top guys to me are guys that can kind of do both. You have to be to be one of those top guys, for me at least, to be one of those top guys, you have to be able to excel at being a face and a heel. So it's like being good at both, because it's a rare talent. It's a rare guys that can be good at doing both. And I think CM Punk fits the bills doing that as well. And like I said, he's great on the mic and he's great at just everything else in and out of the ring. Who you got at your number 5?
Okay, my number 5 is ready for this?
I'm so ready for this.
Just like you, I think you might have him probably later on, whatever, in your top 3 or so. But,
okay.
HBK.
HBK. Shawn Michaels.
He's definitely probably, if not one of the most athletic guys who's come across, the business.
Absolutely.
His in-ring ability is just rivals probably very few.
Yep.
Great entertainer, great mat wrestler, did in the air.
Yep.
Great showman, all of that. Other people, might have him earlier. I'm sorry, later. Or how you want to put it, higher, I guess, in the list.
Yeah, right.
But I think because of his zenith was kind of shortened. It wasn't, he had this, his, from 95 to 94 or whatever to like 97 or so.
Right, 97.
Then he got injured and everything, and he wasn't really then for the real explosion of the Attitude Era. I mean, he came in and out during different parts and came back towards the end, but he wasn't there for a large portion. His major time as a champion and his best matches was right before a few years, and they came back. So I mean, I'm just going by guys who had just a long career of at the top of being the man, and I mean that's pretty much how I'm going by that, I guess.
Right.
But nonetheless, though, his time there, he was the man. He was as he said, the showstopper and all other stuff.
Absolutely was, and touche for that. I'm gonna roll right on to number 4.
You go now?
You can go. Actually, go right. Go right at snake style. I like that.
Cool.
Just like fantasy draft. Snake style, baby. Go ahead. Go for it.
Number 4. Someone who had some good matches with Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Bret Hart.
The Hitman.
Bret Hart is another one who is definitely one of the best, technical wrestlers, mat wrestlers. He was he. The reason why I have him here, or on the list, I should say, is because during the whole period where when Hogan was gone, and before the Attitude and before Shawn really came on the scene and everything, Bret was the man. Like, he held the company down, kind of like how Cena is or has been doing, whatever. Bret was that guy,
right?
And he kind of was in between, like the Attitude, like the big guys, the big strong muscle guys, and then the quick, fast, technical guys. He's kind of in between that era. and he still held his own. Like he did it with the guys, who we grew up on, and he did it with the young up and coming guys coming in.
Right.
And he was just that guy, and he's I don't know. And also, as you said, the whole thing with going both ways, whatever, being a heel and a face, whatever.
Right.
I mean, he's known as being a face for a long, long time, but even towards the end of his career, he was a heel. And it was, it worked, him, the angry Canadian, it worked.
Right.
So.
Absolutely right. And I agree with that. And I respect you for putting Bret Hart on your list. And funny enough, I thought about putting him right there in that same number 4 spot. But CM Punk kind of won out. So, number 4 on my list, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, synonymous with one of probably the best eras of professional wrestling, period, the Attitude Era, which a lot of these guys will fit into that era for the most part. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, a lot of, you saw him on WWE, WWF TV. Most people saw him as like a brawler guy, a puncher. It was like, oh, Stone Cold's got 2 moves, that's all he's got. But, those of everybody that knew him from before, when he was stunning Steve Austin back in WCW days, he's brought a lot to TV. He was a very technical wrestler. He's got a lot of, and the match that really put him on the map was the match with Bret Hart that, where, you see the blood streaming down his face, Bret Hart's got him in the sharpshooter, and he just passes out. That became synonymous with his character just being an overall,
won't give
the
up,
toughest SOB out there. Just don't give up, don't quit, never surrender attitude, which he brought to the Attitude Era. So it's just, he had the technical skills, but it wasn't necessarily a requirement in the character of Stone Cold Steve Austin in WWE. But he carried the company for so long, and the feud he had on camera with Vince McMahon was just, it was one of the greatest storylines we've ever seen in professional wrestling ever. It's just that, or arguably the best storyline ever. It was just every week they would go back and forth. It was the the Vince McMahon in the hospital and banging him over the head with the bedpan. It's just the back and forth. Just Stone Cold was just in it, like I said, and he did what he took time off and he came back. He walked away and then he patched things back up with Vince, and he came back, and he had big time injuries. He hurt his neck, and he thought he'd never wrestle again. And then he came back. JR went down to find him, and he came back, and but he's been a good voice, and he's, like I said, he can do the heel. He was good as a heel. He was good as a face. He was good on the mic. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, it's just that's my number 4. So, in snake style, I'm gonna move right on to my number 3. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or if you flat out for WWE purposes, The Rock. I think The Rock's pedigree speaks for itself. I mean, it's a 3rd generation superstar. His grandfather, the High Chief Peter Maivia. His father, Rocky Johnson, was the first in the first African American tag team champions with Tony Atlas. And then The Rock comes along, and it's funny because he's got the talent, he had the athletic ability, and they had him with the stupid cheesy character, the Rocky Maivia with the hair and and they sent him home. He got hurt, he hurt his knee, and I think Vince told him, you're done here, don't come back, or whatever the case may be. They pretty much sent him home, and his words to Vince was, just put a microphone in my hand, and I promise you, I can make this work. For all intents and purposes. Yeah. But the part that's solid is just put a microphone in my hand. And that's all you had to do. Because you put a mic in that man's hand, and he was golden. Arguably, the best man to ever have a microphone in front of him in WWE ever. Everything The Rock said week in and week out was just money. You pull up videos to this day and watch it back with Rock making fun of people and the spits with Michael Cole and him and his coach and imitating people, the Rock, the Big Show and Stone Cold, and he's doing all these imitations, and The Rock had it all. He was the whole package. You know, 6'5", 275. He's just a big dude, athletic. He could move around, quick. You know, you believed everything he did in the ring. You know, he did it, and he did it well. He sold it well. Sometimes even extra. Like he was, I never seen anybody take a stunner like The Rock. He would fly back like 15 feet, bounce off the ropes. Like he sold it well. He was good on the mic. He was, once again, just as good a heel as he was a face. You could argue you could make a case for both. You could make a case he was a better heel or he's a better face. But that's just great because he was so incredible at doing both. It's just The Rock is entrenched right here in my number 3 spot. You know, for all time, and he was able to translate that well over to a successful Hollywood career, because we know most wrestlers don't translate it over well to a successful Hollywood career, but The Rock has done that and some, and The Rock, number 3.
Okay, it's funny you mentioned the Hollywood career part, because that was my deal breaker pretty much between these two guys. Mm-hmm. My 3 and 2. So my 3, Stone Cold, as you said, mm-hmm. you know, so earlier. He was badass. I wasn't really a fan of his. I mean, I liked him, but you know, I like other guys as well with him. But he was just someone who you couldn't not like. He was just like a badass who would just, did whatever he wanted to do. Took no shit from no one.
Right.
First guy I remember who really like cursed on wrestling too. Like
right.
And throwing F-bombs or whatever. F-bombs,
middle fingers,
whatever.
Like,
and it just, the way he just
drinking beer.
Yeah, he's just a redneck who just like, I like this dude, Yeah. He just, extra. But yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, Stone Cold was just that guy. So I guess number 2 is The Rock. He was just that guy. The Rock, he did it all. Like, there's nothing that he couldn't not do. Like, you mentioned the whole thing where he came in as Rocky Maivia, all that stuff, and he was kind of like a random character, and that he found a way to make it work. He turned into Rocky or The Rock, whatever. And then even though he went through like 10 different, many different entrances and just, went through the nation and everything, and then went solo and became like The Rock and everything, and then went from, the Intercontinental belt to the regular belt, and coming back. I mean, he was just...
And didn't miss a beat.
Exactly.
Didn't miss a beat.
Then left for like 7 years or so, and then came back again, and he was just... He was almost... I thought about putting number 1, like, I can't do that. Like, 'cause he like, the thing is, he is like, right now, because of Hollywood and everything too, whatever. Even before that, he was just. Was there anyone who did SNL before him? No, right? Saturday Night Live. Like he was like just that guy who could just go into Hollywood and just.
You could see it every week.
SNL,
we knew it before everybody else did because we watched.
Yeah, but he was just like the most charismatic.
Yeah,
just
you saw it every week.
Yo,
and it was so effortless.
Yes.
That's just him. That's his personality. It's
pretty much. Like he was just regular, just what's the word? He was like synonymous with like just every day. Just everyone knew him. People who didn't watch wrestling knew him.
So you know who The Rock was.
Yes.
Right. And funny you say that everybody knew he was.
Commercial.
They didn't even watch commercial. Yes, they didn't even watch wrestling. My number 2, my top 5 of all time. The Undertaker, the dead man. I gotta put The Undertaker in here. He has been the mainstay, in the WWE, WWF, pre-Attitude Era, the Dead Man and the Paul Bearer, and coming in and just starting in there with his streak, starting in the WrestleManias with the streak, coming into the Attitude Era, changing his image, just being, having the outfits with the spikes and like the real Shredder and just the Ministry of Darkness, just having a whole entourage, like a whole clique of guys, because the groups were real big, But Undertaker was, he was a solo guy and before the Attitude Era, and he was great solo, and he's a mainstay for the company. And like I said, he's the dead man, and bringing him into the Attitude Era making him the leader of a group and the Ministry of Darkness. It was just great. He had just random guys, Viscera and Midian, and then you threw the Acolytes in there, and it just had. And then I think they eventually brought the Brood in. Like it just started to expand. It was just like, yo, these guys are just taking everything over. Like it was crazy. And then they put Stephanie up on the cross, and they had Stone Cold up on the cross. Like they were just doing some crazy things. And then he came in the next, and he had the American Badass persona. He was riding the motorcycle to the ring, and it's just the whole American thing. And he was kind of heel at that time. The whole big evil, big dog, this is my yard. And then, getting away from that, the fans kind of really wanting the old school, and then coming back to it, and just coming back as the dead man persona. I forget which WrestleMania it is, but he came back to fight Kane after he lost the Buried Alive match, and he fought Kane. I think it was WrestleMania 20. And it was just seeing him back as that, and then continuing along with that to still. I mean, I know the streak was just ended at WrestleMania 30, but you talk about how long the Undertaker was synonymous with everything, just WWE and just wrestling. People didn't know wrestling. Oh yeah, I know the Undertaker. Like, it's the Undertaker. Like, who the Undertaker is. Like, you could never have watched a day of wrestling and you're like, oh, I know who the Undertaker is. And his character never required a lot of talking, but he did talk a lot during the Attitude Era with, once again, the Ministry of Darkness, and obviously when he went to the American Badass persona. But heel, face, it didn't matter. His was like it was like real gray though, because it was almost like, do we not like him? Or I'm not sure. Like, you weren't sure. Like, am I supposed to not like him? I don't know. Like, he's just doing what he always does. Like, I don't know. Like, you were confused whether he was a face or a heel. Like, it was like, you weren't even sure. But that was the greatness that is the Undertaker, and along with that comes probably the best entrance ever in professional wrestling, and just the music when that gong hits. Like, it's the Undertaker. Like, it's just, and he's grown with so many years throughout the company, and he's at the end of his line now, but it's the Undertaker. So I guess with that said, I have to now roll into my number one.
I guess so.
My top 5, number 1 of all time, the Heartbreak Kid, the Showstopper, Shawn Michaels, of course. What can I say about Shawn that hasn't already been said? Probably nothing. But nobody outperforms Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels has done it in the ring just as good, if not better, than anybody else who's ever done it. He shows up, big matches, WrestleManias. That's why he's Mr. WrestleMania. WrestleManias, he's always putting on the show. He's the showstopper. He steals the show. Like you mentioned before, he missed some time, and he was in that phase where it was just coming into what would technically have been the prime of his wrestling career, where he missed those 4 or 5 years with a back injury. He actually got hurt in the match against the Undertaker. But to come back and still be top of your game, that match he had against Triple H when he came back, the non-sanctioned street fight match, that match is an amazing match. I don't know if that's the time you watched it, but that's a great match. Like, and to come back, like, that was your match. He came back, and it's like, oh, he's still Shawn Michaels. Like, he's still Shawn Michaels, and up until the day he stopped, the couple of matches he had with The Undertaker, the first one is arguably the best match ever. And he has another match, arguably the best match. The Iron Man match he had with Bret Hart is arguably the best match ever. So, when you talk about best matches, you're going to find Shawn Michaels' name there a lot. He's my favorite of all time. To me, he's the best of all time. He was the small guy in an era where there was just big guys. Everybody was 6'6", 6'7", 6'10", 7 feet, whatever. Shawn Michaels is barely 6. I saw Shawn Michaels in person. If he was 5'10", them listing him as 6'1" or 6 feet, they were reaching because he's barely 5'11". Okay, but small guy, and just got the job done in an era where there was a lot of big guys. And once again, he translated well over with the DX. Started out with the DX, and those guys were clowns. And then during that Attitude Era, then he came in, and even in the PG era when him and Triple H kind of revamped the DX, and was still able to make it funny without having it have to be raunchy like it was originally, was just a talent, in itself. But once again, Shawn was great mic, great face, great heel, great all around. That's my number one, and I can see it to you for yours.
Well, as you can see, we have different number ones. My number one, no one will definitely say that he's a great Mac technician or someone who had a great match with someone else. Whatever. My number one has to be the immortal Hulk Hogan. Like when you think of wrestling, you think of the Hulkster. He is modern wrestling to us. We all grew up on him. Yeah, he's now that we're older and we see, I guess, we look at wrestling a little differently, I guess. Well, wrestling that we grew up on, back in the late 80s and early 90s, I guess, when he was, the man, I guess, back then.
Right.
He was kind of dragged through a lot of matches, I guess. He didn't have great matches.
Right.
But, he told a good story.
Yes.
All his matches was, something was going on, whether it was him and Savage, best friends colliding.
The Mega Powers.
Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter, USA versus Iraq. Yeah, always had different stories. Him and Warrior, just the two biggest stars at the time, just colliding.
They showed you how to have
exactly.
two top face matches.
It was some great stories being told, whatever happened. Even when a match was like Earthquake or something, whatever. It was just, the biggest guy back then, whatever,
right.
or before then, Andre the Giant, the biggest guy back then. It was always something going on with him. But he was the biggest star at that point ever, like in sport of wrestling. Like he was, now you say Rock is now, whatever, or Stone Cold, but
and he was also one of those names, like you said, that transcended just the sport. Yeah,
exactly. He was bigger than the sport. Like and then. So he did all of that, whatever, he left in '93 to go to WCW, he did everything. Like, if he would have stopped and retired then, boom, hell of a career, Hall of Famer, great. WCW for a couple of years, whatever, had some matches, got some good, bad, whatever. I didn't really watch. I watched some here and there.
Still doing the Hulkster thing.
Yeah, it was still, the red and blue, the red and yellow. Red and yellow, whatever, and he's still doing that whole stuff. Jimmy Hart was with him, and it was cool. And then he just switched up on everyone and became a heel, and did the whole NWO little thing, and Holland Nash,
Hollywood Hogan,
and it was amazing. Like it was just like the I don't know, like Santa Claus just turned around, just was robbing you. It was like random, wow, like
that's a good analogy.
Like you couldn't even picture this. Like how does this happen? And everything I thought about, everything we were talked about in vitamins and our prayers and vitamins, all that good stuff, whatever, just forget about it. It was over. It just, it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. It was just
to that point. I'll agree with you 100% because I don't think anybody aside from The Rock has personifies what it is to be the most amazing face and the most amazing heel. Like I said, other than The Rock, that Hogan pulled that off famously.
But I don't think even when Bret Hart went from being a face to heel or whatever, it was like, oh wow, Bret kind of,
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
It was just like
Yeah, but
Canada thing.
Yeah, but when Hogan did it, it's like wow,
it came out of
everything. That was everything we thought about, everything we believed in.
That was like when he came down to that ring and the leg drop, Randy Savage was like, wow. So many people were like, "Wait, what's going on?"
And then going from that though, spraying the NWO on people's backs, and just the way he was
spraying
acting,
the belt,
and everything was just like, wow.
Got the black in the mud in his beard.
Yes.
It's just
black bows around his neck and whatnot, yo. So
and touche for that.
That's my guy.
Hogan is at the pinnacle of being a face and the pinnacle of being a heel. Nobody pulled that off better, like I said, other than probably The Rock. It's just it was incredible because, like I said, like you said, he had the hearts of all the fans, and they're just like, go ahead, let me get that. It's just nobody did that like that. Nobody did that in such a way that Hogan did it, and just being that Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and just being the bad guy, and it was great. I think it's also ironic that
the 18.
No, I think it's ironic that the change back happened with The Rock.
Yeah.
You know, like back to like being a face and being Hulk Hogan again.
Yeah.
Like I think that was really, really ironic. But
in Toronto,
when
the whole Warrior Hogan thing and
Yep. And it's just
not?
like So that's it. That's my top 5. CM Punk, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Do you remember them now?
The Rock, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. That's my 5. Your 5. I forgot what they were.
Shit, you forgot. Bret Hart.
And you had Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
3 was Stone Cold, Rock,
Steve Austin, The Rock, Hogan. A lot of similarities on the list, but obviously different places, different number ones, a couple different names, but that's it. Holding it down, we expand from not just, as usual, not just the mainstream basketball, football, all that fun stuff, but a little bit of WWE too. We'll be back next week with another top 5 segment, whatever that may be. But as far as this one goes, like, dislike, I know we have a lot of wrestling fans out there. Leave a comment. Tell us who your top 5 is, and tell us why our top 5 is not good. Tell us why Devin shouldn't have Hulk Hogan as number 1, or whatever, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that. But say what you want to say, and we're going to comment back, and we'll get a discussion going. We like to keep the discussion going. Keep the discussion rolling.
Look at me have Buddy Rogers
YouTube,
in there.
King Kong Bundy. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to continue the discussion, we're happy to facilitate that. But holding it down, another segment done. We love you guys. We'll see you later. I'm Henri.
Devin.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bow down to the king.